But first, we're continuing our coverage this week of the awful, awful tragedy at Rana Plaza in a suburb on the outskirts of the capital of Bangladesh, Dhaka, where now over 1,100 workers were killed in the largest factory disaster, the largest workplace disaster in the history of the world. Yes, that's correct. The history of the world, the known history of the world at least. That is that, of course, as we've said, and we've now been following for weeks on this show, Sohail Rana, the owner of that factory, built his factory with an illegal permit, using his political influence to build despite not going through the proper legal channels. He had added floors and was in the process of continuing to add floors illegally, once again wielding his political influence to do so. He's now under arrest pending trial in prison. Many workers had noticed serious safety deficiencies in the workplace, and yet their pleas had been ignored. As a result, after a weeks-long rescue, including several fires that occurred after the collapse within the rubble, we now know that over 1,100 people were killed, many of them young people who were working there to make a living in Bangladesh, the country that has the lowest minimum wage in the world at $37 a month. It is the second largest exporter of apparel in the world after China, with $18 billion worth in exports. Well, since that time, international labor activists, including many activists here in the United States, in the religious community, in the civic and social community, and of course especially in the labor community, have been lobbying United States and Western retailers, many of whom purchased clothing that was made in the Rana Plaza factories, to agree to a legally binding workplace safety agreement. It was called the Accord on Factory and Building Safety in Bangladesh. Now, it was forged by retailers, union leaders, and government officials, and it demands a 5-year commitment from participating retailers to, quote, conduct independent safety inspections of factories and pay up to $500,000 per year towards safety improvements. This was helped negotiated in part through a global industrial workers union called the Industry All Union that represents some 50 million global workers, mostly in the developing world. Now, when this workplace accord was sealed sometime last week, 2 American companies had signed on. PVH, the parent company of Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, and Izod, and at the very last minute, believe it or not, Abercrombie & Fitch, which has come under fire for any number of sort of different racial, sexual discrimination issues, but apparently was one of the 2 American companies to have signed on to the accord. European companies, dozens have signed on. H&M, which is the largest purchaser of clothing in Bangladesh, signed on without a problem. An H&M spokesman said they understand that this could lead to legal liability issues, but they know it's the right thing to do, essentially, and they're used to working with labor unions. There's simply a different culture, quite frankly, a different corporate culture in terms of their dealings with labor unions, with tough labor standards in Europe, frankly. But there are 14 major North American companies who have yet to sign on to this legally binding agreement. And they are Walmart, Gap, Macy's, Sears, JCPenney, VF Corp, which manufactures North Face, Target, Kohl's, Cato Fashions, Nordstrom, Oshkosh B'gosh, American Eagle, Children's Place, and Foot Locker.